Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is introductory Buddhist meditation and philosophy. Emphasis is on Buddhist meditation. And we're joined with Tal tonight, who is a beginning student of Buddhism and is learning how to meditate and is coming with some questions for us. So I always like to say that everyone watching, you're very welcome to and warmly invited to join us. You can submit questions if you would like to join live in the future. You're welcome to. If you're curious about Buddhism, if you're a novice, a beginner, or even experienced, we'd love to have you join us. And this is generally a Q&A type format, so we like to address your specific questions and make this relevant to you. So this is about being practical as opposed to theoretical. So without further ado, Tal, take it away. You have a question to start us off?
Well, first, like, subscribe, share, and especially comment. Comment below. We want to hear the comments.
Comments are good.
Yes. So my question is, when veering off focused attention the way we do with on the breath, when we veer off and we notice our thoughts, and it just may be my mind, or it might be a universal mind thing, where I tend towards focusing on what needs to be improved upon, or let's just say bluntly, negativity in a sense. So it seems that my mind moves towards negative thoughts instead of thinking about pleasant, positive thoughts. Is that a me thing, or is that I mean, I don't know if you know, but I figured I'd ask that question because it seems that's where it goes consistently.
There's a lot to unpack with that question. It's a pretty broad question. I think it's a human thing. I think it's a normal thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. And let me say something about this. Your question sort of implies an inherent bias against negativity and towards, quote, positive thoughts, I think you said.
It's almost never, though, positive. That's the crazy thing. It's like 80 to 90%, maybe more.
That's all right. There's nothing. So the first thing is that there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're approaching this with a underlying assumption that negative is bad and that I should have more positive thoughts, 80% negative is too much. The point is that I want to stress here is that thoughts are not good or bad. It's our perception and it's our interpretation of them where we think of a thought as being bad. It's a label, it's a judgment, it's an opinion, it's many things. But the thought itself, a thought, like all things in the world, in phenomena, when we look with the eye of wisdom, when we look really deeply, when we look with complete, utter objectivity, what we will eventually discover, and this is the path of meditation, is that you could almost say everything is neutral. Everything, I say it like this, everything has its own dignity. Even so-called negative or bad thoughts, dark thoughts, they're relative and they're based on an assumption, again, that something should be different than it is or better. The path of meditation kind of starts with acceptance, not judgment. And if we look deeply, we start to see, well, this is about judging and holding sort of opinions and views. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to get rid of those, but I am saying that is kind of the goal. And we need to have a sense of, well, what am I trying to do with meditation? How am I, more to the point, how do I relate to my thoughts? Because ultimately, this is not a path about just having happy thoughts. It's not a path about just having a calm mind or low blood pressure or no headaches. It's not about that. It's ultimately about wisdom. And wisdom means, very simply, what is wisdom? It's not being a PhD and having all this knowledge. Wisdom is seeing things exactly as they are. So ultimately, later in these courses of discussions, we can talk about a little more sort of the philosophy of emptiness. That's a word that is translated from Sanskrit and Tibetan. It's an imperfect translation, but the notion is if things are empty, it means they're empty of our views, our opinions, our judgments, our expectations. Things are empty in the sense of they just are. Full stop, they just are. So empty doesn't mean there's nothing there. It means that things are not independently having a quality of their own, because everything is relative. So something is good only relative to something bad. Something is long only relative to something short, and vice versa.
So there must be a perceiver in order to determine good and bad.
Well, certainly there is a perceiver. There's someone who is meditating. When we look later on and develop wisdom further, we look at who am I? Who is the meditator? Who is the perceiver? And that's where we're heading. Actually, ultimately, if you really want to look kind of down the road at where are we heading, where's this journey going, that's where it's going. It's going to the wisdom of discovering who or what we are, who we are. Because I will give you a clue, we're not who we think we are, especially as beginners. We're not a male body or a female body or an American or a, from some other culture. We are something, you could say, transcendent, something that is beyond labels. Transcendent means that, right? Beyond, transcending conventional thinking or notions. And that's the eye of wisdom. And wisdom means the deeper you look, the more you cannot find anything. Because everything starts to disperse, everything starts to break down. We start to see everything is based on other things. It's exactly like particle physics in modern science. Everything keeps getting broken down, broken down, broken down. Ultimately, there's nothing there, which is crazy in a way, because we have this solid world that we inhabit, and we have a solid self, with physical form and senses and so on and so forth. And we have a history. So we have an identity. But we have to start not by necessarily deconstructing this identity of who we think we are, but at least start with our thoughts. So it's a very important question you're asking. And it takes time, and it's not easy, because our knee-jerk reaction is we have a thought and we immediately evaluate it, good thought or bad thought, right? I like it or I don't like it. I approve or I disapprove. Actually, and of course, our natural...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I laughed to myself because I noticed this. I'm like, why is it always it, meaning my thoughts going towards the things that I need to do, or what I'm doing wrong, or what I need to do more of, and never like, good job that you did this and this today. It's never that.
Well, it doesn't need to be. And this is what I'm trying to keep saying. What you're experiencing is natural, and it's your karma. It's what you've inherited. It's what's in your mind, obviously, right? It's how your brain works, how your thoughts are generated. They're generated with a certain kind of tendency to either be self-critical, or something's not good enough, or there's always room. There's nothing wrong with wanting to improve ourselves. It's kind of why we come here to our meditation mat in the first place. We already have a sense of, my life's incomplete. It's not perfect. I'm not in control of things. There's always this existential anxiety that everyone has, that because we all know deep down, of course we're going to get sick. Of course we're going to age. Of course we're going to die. Of course we're going to lose loved ones. I mean, life's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. Life is rough. It takes sort of some courage to face life head on, or it takes some kind of self-deception, or just sleepwalk, or just entertain and cover up, or medicate in any way. That can be through movies and TV or an entertainment, or it can be through, of course, anything else, alcohol, drugs, whatever. But the point is, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to not be so reactive. And that's the key. So a bad thought is actually not bad, because a bad thought is the key to liberation. It's the key to, you could say, wisdom, because you can start to look at those bad thoughts and we're after freedom, right? So eventually you will be free of being under the thumb of your negative thinking. You won't take it so seriously. You won't have to react to a negative thought in a way of heaping more negative thoughts on top of the initial negative thought, because that's what we do. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have that. Well, that's another negative thought, right?
Having
so
negative thoughts about having negative thoughts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. So the point is to develop, and this takes time, but that's what this practice is for, is to develop, here's the key word, equanimity. That means we don't react, we don't like good things and dislike bad things. Meaning, when I say things, I mean thoughts and stuff like that, things that happen in our life. Equanimity means your feathers are not ruffled. It means, if you're continuing the analogy of a bird and feathers, it means things can just roll off you like water off the back of a duck, as they say, because it's like waterproof. Or you're riding the horse and the horse doesn't throw you off because the road's too bumpy, or the horse starts to gallop or something. So equanimity means you stay on the horse, you stay on your horse of mindfulness. And no matter what life throws at us, and it throws all kinds of things all day long, all the time, it's nonstop. So to become a good meditator, we can use the word mastery, right? To become master of your mind, master of meditation, master of your life. And what does mastery mean? What does that mean? It means things come along and they don't ruffle your feathers. It means you react to things with calmness, with acceptance, with a little sense of humor, with a light touch. So meditation is the training wheels. It's the training ground, because your mind will constantly turn out thoughts as you're, quote, trying to meditate. Generally, most people that are trying to meditate are not meditating. They're just thinking, but they're sitting still and thinking.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this in one of the recent podcasts that we did, that I felt like I was only doing maybe like 20 to 30 seconds out of 22 minutes. Where it was like where it was like in a state where it was like, warm, and it was.
So that 20 seconds is beautiful and great, and you're being very honest, and you're being probably very accurate, and maybe more honest than most people. So I like that you said that, and I think that's actually very true. You probably are
irksome, but
what's that?
It irks me a little bit that it's such a little amount. I know it shouldn't. I know, but this is where the hard thoughts come in on me. Where sure. Why aren't you doing better?
Yeah. Well, and then you'll learn to perceive those thoughts of why aren't you doing better with humor, with equanimity, with patience, with contentment, and then you will be doing it. And 20 seconds is a great start. Actually, a lot of people don't even have 20 seconds, Tal. And so there's an old proverb or saying from Lao Tzu, who wrote The Way of Life, and or the Tao Te Ching, says Taoism. But the famous quote is, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So the journey of meditation starts with the first 20 seconds out of 20 minutes. It's okay. A year from now, you'll be doing 30 seconds or 40 seconds or several minutes. And it'll just improve as time goes on, I'm sure. Absolutely guarantee you it will. So this is a path of patience, because people do burn out. They do give up meditating because, just like you're describing, they have that experience of they're not really meditating. They think they're incapable, and they're frustrated, and then they just give up. And I tell all my students, I've said this for many years, please don't give up. Just keep going, because, and this is the punchline, because you don't know what your next meditation session will bring you. You don't know when that little breakthrough of equanimity will start to come up. You'll start to develop those sort of equanimity muscles, so to speak. You will. It takes time. Our minds, this is the whole point of Dharma, of Buddhism, is that our minds are stuck in habitual patterns. That's a key 2-word phrase, habitual patterns. So think about that, everybody. What does that mean? It means we think in ways that are sort of predictable, because that we've always thought these ways. We've been conditioned. So habitual habits, these are just habits of the mind. Meditation is to break that habit, those habits. It's to start to develop a more flexible mind, a more free mind, a more less judgmental mind, a more equanimous mind, a more kind mind, a softer mind. It's all those things. All those things.
What you're saying
And
actually reminds me of like programming. We're a little bit beyond the programming, I think, in some degrees, but it's to break the code is not so easy. You usually, if you break the code, you're actually breaking the software, but it's not so easy.
So to extend that analogy, what I want to say, because some people might think that we're replacing an old program with a new program, and what I want to say is we're not. We're absolutely not trying to instill a new program. And many people think that that is what maybe meditation or Buddhism is. It is not. It's just to break the old pattern and then not fill it in with a new pattern. That's where wisdom comes in. That's the amazing thing. That's the beauty. That's the insight, is that the old habitual pattern would be to rush to fill in the void. As the old saying goes, nature abhors a vacuum. It wants to fill in a vacuum, but we do not. We want to let the vacuum be. That's the emptiness that we were talking about a minute ago. We just want to see through the habitual pattern, and just by seeing it, you can be free of it. Maybe not forever and permanently, it'll come back, because it's so entrenched. This is how our minds are. We've been so sort of brainwashed, so trained by our culture, by our parents, by our teachers, by our friends, by our entertainment and media, by everything, by the billboards we see on the highway. I mean, everything reinforces a certain way of perceiving and reacting to the world. And this is what's so, you could say, so radical about meditation or Dharma Buddhism, is it's giving us actually a very rare opportunity to break those patterns, break those chains. Those are chains. Those actually are holding us down or enslaving us or keeping us sort of locked in a cage, kind of a cage of predictability. So again, the cage of predictability is I have a negative thought, and my predictable cage says, I should not have that thought. I don't like that thought. I want to get rid of that thought. Buddhism saying, no, you don't have to do battle with your thoughts. We're not here to get rid of them. We're here to see them for what they are. Then they will sort of get rid of themselves. They will just start to dissolve or vanish or lose their power over us. Because as it is for normal, unenlightened people who are just going through our lives, our thoughts are controlling us. They're sort of victimizing us. They are tyrannical. They are tyrants. People may not know what the word tyrant really means. A tyrant is like a mean king. A mean king, somebody who's trying to really control and run the show and everything like that. The big boss, kind of mean. So that's why Tyrannosaurus Rex is called, that's where the word Tyrannosaurus, tyra is from the word tyrant. So, and Rex is king. So the king of the tyrants was Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's where the early scientists, the paleontologists, actually came up with that name.
I didn't
So
know that.
anyway, that's a digression, of course, a little Trivial Pursuit kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
But the point is, our thoughts kind of have this power over us. Now, meditation and Buddhism gives us the tools to take back our power, start to become in control of your own mind.
It's
So it's
kind of
ultimately
amazing
empowering.
when we
I'm
talk
sorry, what?
about, it's kind of amazing to me when we talk about these things that there is this control that is out of the main thing that we do is not in our control.
Yeah. Yeah. The
That's
main thing we
amazing.
do is thinking. That's why we're Homo sapiens. Sapien is thinking man. We are. So anyway, that's the point. And that's the beauty and the amazing opportunity of Buddhism, really. When people encounter Buddhism, that's truly what it's about, is to become free, or at least less stuck. That's the journey of freedom. We say liberation or awakening. We use the word to awaken, because pretty much most of the time, if you're sleeping, you're under the power of the dream. The dream sort of controls us. If it's a scary dream, we're scared in our dream, right? That's the notion. So waking up and realizing the dream was just a dream. Well, the same analogy holds for our daily life experience. So that's why meditation is so important, because 24/7, except for the 20 minutes that we meditate or whatever, we are just surrendering our free will and our freedom to, again, the paradigm of our society, of our times, of our culture, of our civilization, that just sort of tells us sort of how to think in a way. It's sort of, kind of telling us what to do, how to respond to things.
That's why it's so crucial, like social media and television and cable and all these, even movies. These are messaging systems. These are telling you how to think systems. They are very. I think in the past they were a little underrated in that capacity, but we're recognizing more and more how influential these systems are.
Well, it's more and more subtle. It's more and more entrenched. It's more woven into the fabric of our lives, certainly. And of course, we know there's, for economic reasons, people, they want to sell us things and get our dollars and all that stuff. But
all
again,
about vying for our attention, which is
yeah,
funny because
all
that's kind of
of
what
that.
we're doing with meditation, is figuring out how to focus our attention.
Yeah. Like I said, we're taking our life back. It's really empowering the individual. It's very radical in a sense. Even the day of the Buddha, when he taught this, that's why he attracted so many people, because they saw he was really giving a very important and very fresh and very insightful message. But it is about freedom. Ultimately, it's that's what it is. I just can't say it enough. It's taking your life back. It's learning how to relate to your thinking in a way that's fresh or fresher, and you could say healthier. I've quoted this many times. There used to be a bumper sticker we'd see, and it said something like, "Don't believe everything you think." And it's a very funny saying, don't believe. But if we really stop, and it's very true.
It's profoundly
Don't
true.
believe.
It's profoundly true.
It's profoundly true. Don't believe and this is what meditation gives you the opportunity, because you start to see thoughts objectively, not through a filter, not through a lens, not through gender, not through race, not through culture, but objectively, just through your nervous system, just seeing thoughts and not reacting and not judging them and not having even an opinion, but which is really hard, right? I'm not pretending this is easy. We are trained and taught that we are supposed to have opinions about everything. Buddhism comes along and pulls the rug out from under and says, wait a minute, let's try this experiment. What happens if you sit for 25 minutes in a dignified posture and you follow your breath, and when thoughts come up, you don't have an opinion about them. You just observe them completely objectively, completely neutrally. You don't have an opinion about the thoughts that you are thinking. That's amazing. That is so incredible. And yet, actually, that's the heart of meditation. And if you do that long enough, consistently enough, it will change you in a fundamental way where you're not reactive to life. You have mastery over who you are, in a sense. You have deeper understanding and insight. You have patience because you're not reacting. You have equanimity because you see that all things are basically even, that just on the surface are things good and bad and so on. But when we penetrate deeper, we actually start to really understand the essence of things. And then in Buddhist philosophy, we talk about the essential nature of things, and the essential nature of the self, and the essential nature of thoughts themselves. That will come. That's, we call in Tibetan Buddhism, we call that vipassana meditation. The Tibetan word, that's the Sanskrit word, vipassana. The Tibetan word is laktong, which means to see in a deeper or more profound way, to view things from a more profound or subtle viewpoint. And that's where you could say the path of meditation is leading us. We start by following the breath or watching a candle or a flower on, the shrine in front of us, because we learn first to calm the mind, to slow down the crazy, speedy thoughts, and develop some sense of just peaceful calmness. But that's, again, as we always say, that's just the beginning of the path. It's critically important. We need to spend months or even years really getting the mind where it is very calm and peaceful, and is not just subjected to an onslaught of thoughts where you don't think so compulsively. And as thoughts kind of calm down and slow down, there's a little more, we say, spaciousness in the mind itself. It's not this obsessive compulsive thinking, and reacting. But there's a gentleness that starts to come into oneself, you could say. And then we can start to look at and do that latong that I was just talking about, starting to really see. But when you're in a place of real calmness and a thought comes up or generated by your mind, you can see it. And you can see it without reacting to it. You can see it without having an opinion about it. You can see it without liking it or disliking it, or approving or disapproving of it. That's where we're heading. Everybody that's watching this, if you meditate as, let's say, in the Buddhist way, because there's other systems of meditation, don't try to do what I'm describing. They're more about blissing out or doing other things. But I'm only talking about Buddhist meditation because I'm ignorant of everything else. I only know Buddhist meditation, but this is what this is. And this is the opportunity it gives us. And as far as I'm concerned, it's extremely unique and so precious, because it really gives us the ability to take your life back. Okay, so maybe we addressed that question, hopefully.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have a follow-up question or thought? Or
I have so many, but I think that they'll be so long-winded that they may require many more videos. So
well, we have time to do many more videos. The long-winded part is me, because I tend to be a little long-winded. But if you want to ask maybe a shorter question. Maybe I can try to give a shorter answer if you'd
Well,
like.
something that came to mind while you were talking was in those moments, that 20 seconds, those short moments, is there a sense of like static, or what's the word I'm looking for? Where, because it almost seems like there's no thoughts in those moments.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, like a static, like a rain noise, or like a nothingness, or I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a warm, I don't know, whatever you want to call that.
Well, if I was 10 years old, I'd say that's for me to know and you to find out. So you have to keep the point of that, why I said that, is because you just have to keep going, and little by little you'll discover for yourself. You really will. You'll just keep the tendency is to try to analyze that experience.
Yeah, and that's when you start thinking again, and that's why it goes away so quickly.
No, exactly. So that's the whole point. So as time goes on, you will learn how to
sit in it,
just let it be, let that experience happen, and not try to figure it out or analyze it, or somehow interpret it or something. Of course, afterwards, that's a natural tendency after the meditation's over or something. Oh, what was that about? But you'll just have to keep going. I mean, I would just say that that's the right track, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Or it's just a thing. It's just sort of neutral, but it's good. It's there's nothing wrong with that, having that sort of moments of sort of thought free. But I would say don't try to figure it out too much or at all. Just but that's natural, and we go, oh, that was it. That was real meditation. I need to do more of that.
yeah,
I need to
almost
make that last longer. And that will keep pushing it away.
Yeah, that's for sure. The more you try to grab it, the more it goes away.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, but that's how we learn. We learn, oh, it's by just letting go and relaxing and just and you'll learn those skills. That is the path of meditation, is learning how to.
And I don't know how much this relates to it, but like dreaming, there's something called lucid dreaming, and that's kind of part of it. To stay in lucid dreaming, you can't try to hold on to it. You kind of have to let it be.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a valuable lesson for so much in life.
All right. Very good. Until next time.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama Dawa.
Very good. Thank you, Tal.